Good evening. Welcome to Reflections on East Granby. Today's date is July 10th, 2010. Our guest tonight is Rafael Adamus, 20 North Road, East Granby. He's a 28-year resident of East Granby. He'll be 70 years old on Monday, and we're wishing him an early happy birthday here. 69 years old as we sit here.
I'm still young.
Still young. and it's a pleasure to have you here tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Let's get started. Thank you. So, Rafael, you were born on July 12th, 1940 in the the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Okay, what was the name of the town?
The name of the town was Bonao.
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 Okay.
It was a small town in the center of the country.
All right.
A rural area.
Yep.
And it's a community that school, church, main streets,
okay,
with a park, centralized park,
right,
where everything went around for societal and musical entertainment.
Okay.
One theater, and people were very much a family type of community. You know, everybody looked out for each other.
How many people lived there, would you say?
I would say that it was, in the town itself, I would say it will be maybe about 2,000, 2,500.
Okay, what was the Dominican Republic in that day, in the 1940, I guess?
In the 1940s, are you in the form of government? Or?
Well, what was it like as a child? What was it like growing up there? What was your town? What was your neighborhood?
Oh, you walk to school. We had school from 8 o'clock in the morning until 11.
Right.
Then you walk home.
Yep.
Because we had that's the hardest part of the day.
Right. Oh, so you had an actual siesta.
It's the main part of the meal.
Okay.
It's a noontime.
Right.
So from 11 o'clock we went home, had our main meal. Right. It's really hot at that time, and at that time air conditioning in the homes was not something to be found.
Right.
And we would after eating such a big meal, you can be outside running around. So that's where the siesta comes in, where you rest.
Okay.
Because if you were to be out there, 90-degree weather, hot, the sun is at the highest point.
Right.
You're not going to last too long. So what happened is we returned to school at 2 o'clock.
Right. Okay.
From 2 to 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. Then around 6:30, you know, a very light meal, what we consider lunch here.
Okay.
And then after that, we just play around. It's cool. It's evening, and play around with the kids.
So was schooling the same there? You started at kindergarten. Did you have a kindergarten or a first grade, or where did you start?
Mostly the kindergarten were mostly private.
Kindergartens really weren't even around here then.
No,
yeah,
kindergarten was mostly private with an ex-teacher, a retired teacher, or someone that wanted to teach us how to read. And
what age would that have been?
The same age, around 5,
6,
right,
okay.
5 or 6 years old.
Now you have. So what are your earliest memories from your childhood?
The earliest memory was getting up, going to school. And school was very strict because even from the first grade on, you had to pass a final exam to move on to the next grade.
Right.
So when it was exam time, you knew it was serious business.
Okay.
So in the evening, my mother would be the one that would teach us the multiplication tables and so on.
Right.
My father was the one that was teaching us the religious part.
Okay. He
would teach us religion and also the right way to behave and consequences if we didn't behave properly and show respect. And then normally from school we had a chance to play with the kids and so on.
Okay.
But also in my case, if I was working at the church also as a altar boy, and even during school, if the priest called and said that I need Rafael to come to the church for somebody die or for a special occasion, the teacher would say, Father Carbon wants you, go to church. So I would run to church, and so we had a more or less a communal farm state.
Okay.
And
what did your parents do? You said
my father was a tailor.
Okay.
A master tailor.
Yep.
And I say a master tailor because he left school when he was...
What type of tailor?
A master. He
was master tailor. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sorry.
He started to learn the trade from the time he was 12 years old.
Yep.
The 7 years of learning experience and working with someone to learn the trade.
Okay.
But at the same time, he was a musician. He learned to play the trombone, the slide trombone.
Right.
As a matter of fact, he became so good that he was one of the founding members of the President's Orchestra. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
and he was the first chair eventually.
So he was an accomplished musician.
He was, yes, he was. May he rest in peace.
And your mom was a...
My mother, of course, she had a business, and of course, the
Really?
blouses and dresses, and
she was a
so-
tailor also.
She made blouses and dresses, and
So they kept pretty busy.
And by the way, part of our homework, after we did our homework, then we helped with the cleaning up the shop and so on, and also helping with the cloth and
Okay.
doing other things.
Now, how many brothers and sisters?
I have one brother.
One brother?
My
Okay.
brother George.
Brother George. He's still with us?
Yes, he lives in Arizona.
Okay.
Actually, he was in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, but the winter he had double pneumonia one time. The doctor said you can't stay.
Okay.
So he left for Arizona. So he lives in Arizona.
He flew south like a lot of folks.
Yeah.
Now you have so you're going to school in the Dominican Republic, and what was the schooling like as you went up? Was it similar to traditional schooling?
Yeah, it was what you will find in, like I say, in the 1940s, which was a lot of exercises and drills and paying attention to the teacher or else. The homework, no excuses for not doing your homework.
Pretty strict conventional school.
It was very strict, and you didn't want your parents ever to come to school, because you didn't do well.
Right.
And of course, like I said, they gave you the mid-year exam and the end of the year exam, and you had to pass in order to move on. So it didn't make any difference if you were 15 years old. You could still be in the second grade if you didn't do well.
Did you enjoy growing up in where you did?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because of playing sports, hanging around with the kids and playing and talking about baseball, which was a big game down there.
Wow. Still is quite a few.
Still is, yes. And then also going to school and coming back home, we're kicking the soccer ball.
Okay.
We could hang around the street until the time that we were supposed to come home.
What was the government like in the Dominican Republic? I know Haiti's had a rough
at that time we had a dictator.
Did you? Okay.
Yes, we had a dictator through my whole life.
Okay.
His name was Rafael.
Okay.
And what made our small town something special was that his brother was living in our hometown, and he was the mayor. He was in charge of everything, and he made sure that we had a radio station.
Okay.
He made sure that the streets were clean and clear.
Not a bad place to live. The dictators.
But if you didn't have your house well kept, if you didn't paint, you heard about it.
Really?
And you better do it.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was a place where for a small town we had big city. I want to say the word, a big city that everything was available to us.
Yeah, the convenience of a larger town. Now, did you graduate high school in the Dominican Republic?
No, I came here. My parents and I and my brother, we came here in 1950. This October will be 60 years.
So you were 10 years old.
10 years old.
What inspired the move?
Well, there were two or three things that my parents decided to move. The first thing was they wanted more freedom. Okay. And there was still the opportunity to leave the country. There were more opportunities, not religious freedom, because there was religious freedom. The country was 98% Catholic, so there was no problem for us. Okay. But the sense to be able to speak your mind, being able to vote for more than just the one candidate that was on the ballot.
Right.
Also the opportunity to move around as you please.
Okay.
So that was the first, but also the opportunity for better opportunity for us. They start to think about us already ahead. Educational opportunities, being able to professional opportunities. And also all the things that people used to say about this country, the opportunity that was available if you were willing to work for it and willing to go after it.
Okay, so it's a typical American dream there, Jason. Yeah, that's makes sense. So and a lot of Dominicans have come to this country. It's a very popular a very large immigrant class from the Dominican Republic.
Yes.
Just within the last 50 or 60 years.
Yes, it is, because again, as you have more people coming over, you tell your relatives,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
look at the opportunity, or look how my son is doing so well, and look what's happening, and they say, hey, I want the same thing for my kids, so I want the opportunity to grow.
Okay.
So that's what happened.
So you moved to this country. Where'd you move?
To New York City.
New York City.
Yeah.
Okay, whereabouts?
Manhattan.
Manhattan,
We were
okay.
Manhattan and the Bronx.
Okay, and what, you started school in Manhattan?
I started school about a week after. We were freezing. October, was so, for us it was so cold.
Yeah, right.
It was
Not
terrible.
used to that.
Wow. But we came here, and I was in the 5th grade.
Okay.
And in the school I went to, PS 87. My brother and I went to PS 87.
Okay.
There was no the type of education where multilingual.
Right.
It was in our neighborhood where we moved, or we came to this country, was all English speaking.
Okay.
There were no Latinos, except for my parents and my aunt.
That was early, yeah. The
1950. So
yeah.
our school, PS 87, there were only 4 students that knew Spanish.
Okay.
2 that knew Spanish and English, bilingual. My brother and me, and we didn't have a word of English.
Okay.
So what happened is that we got through, and the teachers didn't know Spanish.
Okay.
There was no bilingual education.
Okay.
So we sat there, and we, believe it or not, we learned not only from listening, but also from, we didn't have television. We didn't have a television when we got here. So just with the kids, you, me, let's play. No.
Yeah, that's a lot of people seem to learn English.
And before, that's how we play in the schoolyard, and we learn. And,
Okay.
and the teachers having the patience to try to explain through sign language and all that,
Well, at that age, you pick it up pretty quick.
very quickly, because you don't have the inhibition.
Right, right.
And you don't have the inhibition that, oh, I'm not speaking English so well. Kids, kids, you're playing, you're having a good time. The same thing with the neighborhood. So
You're not concerned about your pronunciation or anything.
Hey,
If you can get your point across, you did
You got
it.
your point across, and I remember my uncle, when he came here.
Right.
My uncle came here to visit in 1949.
Okay.
And also to see what opportunities were there for him. And I remember him telling the story when he went back to Santo Domingo. He wanted to eat lunch, and he didn't know how to speak the language. He said, I'm hungry. So he went to this restaurant, and he wanted a hot dog.
Right.
So he made the sound of the dog. Wow, wow, ouch, ouch.
no.
Now he's a man now. Imagine this man, a kid, no problem.
Yeah.
But he always laughed about that. And I remember that. He said, but they brought the hot dog.
They knew what he was talking
He knew what they were talking about. He made the sound of the dog, and then ouch, the dog, ouch, hot dog. There again.
Usually, I've been in a few places where I couldn't speak the language, and usually you can get your point across.
Yeah, you
A few of the words, you kind of bridge words and kind of work from there.
the biggest problem with not having a bilingual education, at least being able to speak having the opportunity to learn immediately while trying to learn English, which was the main thrust of my first year here in this country in education, was that it set you back in the skills area. It took me 4 or 5 years before I caught up to writing the proper sentences and, and also about science and math. Trying to get it took about
Okay, so you had no English when you came.
Not a word.
Oh, okay, all right. So
not a word.
Yeah.
I expected to stay back that first year.
Right.
And then my parents expected me to stay back that first year, and then we got the report card. I passed to the 6th grade.
Yeah.
And I said, what a country, what a country. Because my parents and I didn't feel that, I'm the same with my brother, that we were really up to the standards that was expected. But we did learn English enough so that we could start making, and I think that's what the school figured, that we were making progress. To stay back another year wasn't going to help us at all. So
now, it's a fairly, like I said, I've been out of my language element a few times, and it's a fairly, maybe not at that age as much, but it can be a little bit alienating too. I mean, or you feel there's a sense of isolation.
Yes.
Because there's a lot going on around you, and you're not picking up the little. So at that age, maybe it was a little different.
Well, the thing was that you went into a shell.
Okay.
And you didn't want to embarrass yourself.
Right.
And let's face it, kids are great, but they can also be cruel.
Yeah, sure.
Because one of the things that I told my wife, who was a teacher in New Hampshire, she taught elementary school, and also she taught in Hartford while we were here, that a student came from Central America, didn't know a word of English.
Okay.
And she talked to me about it. My wife was born in Hartford. She's from Manchester, and she was born in Hartford, the Hartford Hospital.
Okay.
And she said, well, how do I deal with this? I said, first of all, don't let the child feel that she's stupid.
Right.
Because she doesn't understand the language. On the other hand, have the other students learn some Spanish, learn something from her. So she went around writing in English and Spanish, the door and everything around so that she could understand in Spanish, door, puerta.
Okay.
And the other case, she explained about culture, about languages and how important it was. So that in my case, my teacher didn't do that. Of course, it's a different world now.
Yeah.
My teacher didn't do that. So what happened is that for some students, they will say, stupid, because I didn't,
Yeah.
they didn't understand that.
Like you said, kids can be cruel.
But
Yeah.
those same kids later on, where I started to learn more English and they started to understand my mannerisms, I could still talk with my hand
Right.
and excited, we became good friends.
Right.
Because we understood each other much better, which sometimes makes me wonder about adults in different countries. Sometimes we fear what we don't know.
Absolutely.
Once we got to know that person, I remember people in the neighborhood when I got to be in matter of fact, in New Hampshire, when I lived in New Hampshire, I remember some people saw me walking their way, they would go across the street.
Okay.
I didn't get angry. I said, they just don't know me.
Right. Well, what you're talking about is that some people discount it because I think they're ignorant of the value of a diverse experience. And,
Yes.
And when you travel around the world, or if you, a good example is my son's teacher this year. They taught. It seems to be a common thing, but they taught him some sign language. They were teaching them sign language all year, and he's 7, and he happened to be in my office when there was a client that was deaf, and he said hello to him in sign language, and it was a magical kind of moment. They were able to communicate a little bit.
And I'm sure that the brightness in that child's face,
Yeah. He was thrilled that he got to use it, and But that's the idea. Is somehow you acquire an appreciation of the other.
Yes.
And that the whole world. And as you said, these kids were friends.
Yeah. It didn't take long for my brother and me to learn enough English to be able to not only to live in the neighborhood, but also to start to learn.
Right.
Acclimate
some level. Yeah. Okay, so you're going to school in New York. That sounds fascinating. And this is prior to a real large Spanish population in New York.
It was
so
prior.
You really had to kind of make your way through. So you go through. And where did you said you moved to the Bronx?
Well, from there we moved to the Bronx, but that was my parents at that time felt that yes, we were learning English, but we needed to have a more immersion of English, and at the same time as we're learning the skills that would provide us a better opportunity for higher education.
Right.
So what happened was that the only place, the schools were too big. When I went to the 7th grade, Joan of Arc Junior High on 92nd Street, I showed my wife the school about a few months ago. She had never been there. It's 10 stories high. We had about 6,000 students.
Wow. And this is a public school.
Public school, yeah. Wonderful school. I went to the 7th grade. I learned a lot, but my parents felt, it's not going to happen. Also, because of the big school, there were limited programs that we were geared toward. For instance, my father's a tailor. I'm going to be a tailor. As a result, I was given not the college type courses, but I was given tailoring, dealing with clothing. And I went home one time and I was given shop, and I was given good industrial, preparing you for the workplace.
Yeah.
My parents wanted us to prepare for the workplace, but after college. So they felt that in a school that big, we weren't going to get the type of education we wanted. And my father one day came home and saw me working on some clothes. He said, "Oh, wonderful, son, you're helping your mother." I said, "No, Pop, that's my homework." And my father said to me, "Hold it, son, I don't send you to school for them to teach you. I can teach you here."
A master tailor.
I said, no. So what happened was that they sent my brother and me to a private school.
So we went to private school in the Bronx.
No, in the Bronx. They sent us to a private school, to Plattsburgh, New York, to a boarding school. And here's the reason why.
Really?
Yes. And it's unfortunate, it's sad, because he heard my father, who was a very strong Catholic. There was a Catholic school a block and a half away from our house, which was our church Catholic school.
Okay.
Wonderful school from what the neighbors, all the neighbors say, send your kids there, and my parents went with us, they had to get somebody to translate because my parents were not fluent enough in English at the time.
Sure.
And they said, I'm sorry, Mr. Adames, we cannot let your sons come here because we're full. Oh, that's too bad, But we will give you the names of a few other schools that are private schools and so on that are good schools, and they were true. We went to a few other schools, but later on we found out that they just didn't want Hispanic kids there.
Okay, yeah.
And also the fact is that nobody understood Spanish in the school.
Yeah, most people don't comprehend that this country was still Enlightenment when it came to different cultures and ethnicities. So there was a lot of ignorance.
In that respect. So my parents, we looked for school, a private school, and we ended up in Plattsburgh, New York.
Okay.
So I was there as a boarder for 5 years. My brother was there for 6 years.
Right.
And right there, they insisted that English, learning English, because there are a lot of South American kids from South America directly there.
Right.
Canadian boys. Plattsburgh is not too far from the Canadian border.
Right.
So there are a lot of Canadian kids.
Yeah, that's way up there.
Yes, in Lake Champlain, right across from Burlington.
So you went up there as a boarding school?
Yes.
So you had to stay there away from your parents?
I came home only for Christmas.
How old were you?
By that, in the 8th grade. But they were doing away with junior high in those days in that school. So I was my brother was the last 8th grader there.
Okay.
So I spent 5 years, 8th grade through high school.
So you're up near the Canadian border, completely out of your element now.
Completely.
40 degrees below zero.
It was run by the Brothers of Christian Instruction, and like I said, there were a lot of kids from Cuba before Castro.
Okay.
A lot of kids from Cuba, a lot of kids from Central and South America, and a lot of Canadian kids. However, they insisted we keep away from each other so we can learn English, and we were allowed to speak our language only at certain times.
Right.
And the Brothers of Christian Instruction as teachers, we were there 24 hours a day.
Right.
We were receiving not only an education, but also we were being tutored.
Right.
And also the emphasis was for all of us to learn English as quickly as possible so that we can compete and be prepared, because it was a preparatory school, so we can be prepared to move on with our education.
Yeah, there was no bilingual society at that point. You either learned English or you're basically going to work as a laborer or something.
Exactly. Well, the thing was that, English, today you don't have that type of situation because of the resources.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that now it's much more incorporated in public schools. They're teaching kids English from a very young age.
And
you don't go through school and not learn English anymore.
That's true.
You can't.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you're Plattsburgh. Did you graduate from there?
I graduated from in 1958.
So you went 4 years and way up in northern. Eighth grade. Okay, 5 years in northern New York.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came home for our holidays and.
I came home for Christmas, the week
summer?
and a half, in the summer. Yeah,
okay.
Christmas, Easter, in the summer.
Good.
The summer.
All right.
And at first it was tough for my parents.
Your brother was there with you?
My brother was there.
That helped a little bit.
That helped. But it was tough for my parents because we were separated.
Right.
They didn't want. And I know it was tough, especially for my mother. My father finally said, let's get the boys in. And my father said, no. And my mother said, no. It's best for them to stay there. That's it. It's
a big sacrifice they made.
It was a tremendous sacrifice. Yeah. Tremendous sacrifice
for your sake.
When my daughters went to college, they were with us, all the time. But when they went to college, in my office, people used to say, she's not home anymore, because I was walking around, Then I remember how it must have been for my mother. Here I am in the 8th grade, a kid, 12 years old, and away from home, that far away from home.
Yeah.
And so it was tough.
They did it for you.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. Okay, so you graduate from
Mount Assumption.
And you go to.
I went to college from there.
Okay, straight to college.
I went straight to college. I went to I wanted a small college. Mm-hmm. First, for financial reasons, and I went to City College in New York.
Yep.
During the summer. Got a head start.
Okay.
my first class. They
Which
were
is supposed to be an excellent college, by the way.
It is. It is excellent.
Yeah.
But I wanted to get a head start.
Yeah.
I figured I live with my parents. It would save the money and so on. And I wanted to stay in New York City. I've been away from New York too long. You
Yeah.
know? To me, New York City was the center of the world as a young man.
Right.
And
So this is the let's see, what years would this be?
1958.
1958, okay.
So the summer of '58, I decided to get a head start in college and go during the summer to CCNY.
Okay.
I walked into my first class, a big auditorium, over 100 kids.
Wow.
Over 100. You know, the professors were down there, and I'm saying, oh boy. I got through, I did well.
Okay.
But I knew.
What did you go to school for?
At that time, I went to school for engineering. When I was a sophomore in high school, I wanted to be a teacher and a coach.
Okay.
But everybody said, you know, if you want to live in poverty, and you must well be a brother, you must well be a priest, you will live in poverty all your life helping people. You know, you need to find a profession that you would like to you would like to live and support your family.
Right.
Now, remember, this was 1958.
Okay.
But since a sophomore in high school, I wanted to teach and coach. I wanted to be with young people. I wanted to feel that I was doing something that was pro-social life, pro-life.
Right.
You know, and then finally my father said to me, "You sure you want to do that?" And I said, "Well, what was your second choice?" And I said, "Engineering. I like to be an engineer." He said, "Study engineering." So I went to school and I studied engineering for 2 years.
Okay.
And I hated every minute of it.
Really? Okay.
Yes, I dislike. I mean, let me put it this way. My professor said to me one time, my sophomore year, he said, Rafe, you don't seem to be a happy student. By this time, the engineering students, they're building houses, they want to do this.
They're getting fired up.
You know, they're getting fired up.
Yeah.
I'm going through the motion, you know.
Right.
So one Saturday morning, we happened to meet, and he said to me, Rafe, you're a fine young man. He said, but do you really be an engineer? And I said, well, I'm not sure. He said, let me put it to you this way. Let me know when you become an engineer and you build your first bridge. I said, oh. He said, because I want to make sure that I'm not the first car that bridge. I want to avoid that bridge.
Yeah, he saw it.
He said, you don't have the passion. You don't have the... He said, what would you like to do? I told him what I wanted to really do. He said, do it.
Right.
And then finally, you know, in matter of fact, then we said goodbye. Then the president, small college, New England College in Henniker, New Hampshire.
Okay.
Because I wanted from CCNY, a big university, I wanted a small college that I can grow, I can learn, where the teachers can be small classes. When people talk about, oh, the kids in big classes can learn as well as small. No. People like me will make it in a big class. I needed a small class.
Okay.
The professors were great. They will help me. One-on-one.
Where was this?
In Henniker, New Hampshire. New England
okay,
College,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
So what happened is that finally, even the president, one day I saw him in the street. He said, hey, Ralph, come here. You're not doing too well engineering. You're not that here. You're not a happy person.
Oh, really?
What would you like to do? And I said, I'd like to do something else. Now, here's the advantage of a small school. He said, come with me. Now, here's the man going to his house to have dinner.
Right.
He turned around, he took me to his office, and we talked for over 2.5 hours.
Really? Wow.
About what is it in my passion that I wanted to do and why.
Okay.
And finally, he said, there comes a time in every man's life that he has to come being a child, a young man, and a man. Mm-hmm. You are the crossroad between being a child and being a man. When are you going to grow up? And I said, well, but that's not the whole story. I said, my parents are paying good money for me to come here. He said, yeah, to get an education. He said, but now especially my father expects me to be an engineer.
Correct, yeah.
Not, a teacher.
Okay.
He picked up the phone there. He said, now, there you are. Are you a man? Are you going to grow up? Are you afraid not to show your parents that you have ideas and feelings and that you have a thirst to do something in life?
Making a big decision.
He said, there it is. And this was after 2.5 hours. I picked up the phone, and where I spoke with my parents in Spanish for about an hour, because at that time I also met my future wife, my wife.
Oh, she was going to school there?
She was a year behind me.
Susan?
So, Susan, yeah,
okay.
She was a freshman, I was a sophomore.
Okay.
And the first thing my mother said was, uh-oh, you're in love. That's...
She thought there was something wrong.
We will send you to Santo Domingo, to University of Santo Domingo. We will send you to Spain.
Right.
We will send you to Mexico. I said, no, you don't understand. So for an hour, I tried to explain to them. It wasn't the young lady I had met, but I started to like a lot. Yeah. It was the fact that since I was a sophomore in high school, I wanted to help people. I wanted to work with kids. Okay. I had a passion.
Right.
you know, for that type of life, you know,
Yeah.
regardless.
Right.
And then once meanwhile, the president of the college is not understanding a word of Spanish,
Right.
is sitting there for over an hour
Wow.
listening to this conversation.
It's a committed guy.
And he and my parents finally said, "Is that what you really want to do?" And I said, "Yes, that's what I want to do." Then my father said, "Be the best teacher you can be."
Big decision, and you made it.
Decision, and,
Yeah.
and it was a tough decision for them because they wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing something else because it was going to be quote easier or because I met a girl.
Yeah,
that
there
I
wasn't
liked.
some other wrong reason.
Yeah,
that didn't,
all the
yeah.
wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But once I showed them, I explained to them the right reason.
Right.
And then the president said, "Congratulations, you have now grown up to be
Okay.
a man to make mistakes and move forward with your life."
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you made the right decision.
It did because of, but when I left, when I graduated.
Okay.
It was very hard, especially for a person who's Hispanic and all that, to get a job.
You mean when
I
you
got
switched
married.
after you got your degree?
Yeah,
in
after I got my degree and
education?
all that, it was
Right.
tough to get a job.
Now, what did you stayed at the same college?
I stayed, yes. I
Oh,
stayed
so
the
they
same
had- they
college.
offered that too.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
all right,
I learned marketing management, and
Okay.
because it wasn't enough at that time, wasn't a very strong educational structure to learn to become a teacher. I didn't go to a teacher's college.
Okay.
I was in it was mostly
engineering
and business.
So
Wasn't too much your area.
you switched into a
Into the
teaching
marketing
track.
well, it was in marketing management or economics, with a track that also would allow me to teach.
and
So,
what was your intended teaching discipline?
well, I love history, so I took all the economics. So I do a double major.
Okay.
Social studies, like Mr. Howard, which I saw he had
That's
a
right.
while ago.
Yeah.
Social studies, which I love, history and social studies, and
Okay.
business.
And that's what you ended up getting your degree in.
And that's why I ended up getting my degree.
And you ended up teaching.
And then, so when we first got married, not being able to get a teaching job,
Okay.
and because again, people were very hesitant. 1963.
Yeah, that's still very
1963. Somebody with remember now Castro had taken over.
Yep.
As somebody who is Hispanic to
Okay.
teach American history, to teach about
Right.
democracy and all that.
Yeah.
They were hesitant, and normally I would tell you what one superintendent told me in this area when I came here looking for work at that time.
Okay.
He said, young man, I'm impressed by your thirst for knowledge and your enthusiasm for teaching.
Okay.
But this area is not ready for you.
Really?
And this was in private.
Yeah.
And he said that this area is not ready for you. He said that I'm telling you what no one else will tell you.
Okay.
He said that will be the case.
Where was that?
Well, I won't tell you the
no,
town.
well, it was in Connecticut.
Oh, yeah, it was in
Yeah,
Connecticut,
okay.
yeah.
So you.
He was in Connecticut. He was in Connecticut.
No, that was a long time ago. Right?
It was a long time ago. It was a long time. Thank God things have changed.
Yeah, it's dramatic.
But what happened was I started to become a salesman.
Okay.
I said, that's it. If I cannot teach, I'm going to become a salesman, going to marketing and so on.
Yeah,
And I went to sales, and I made Rookie of the Year. But
Selling?
every time selling insurance.
Okay,
I made
good.
Rookie of the Year. I love people. But every time I passed by school, and I saw kids playing in the yard, I put my attaché case down and I started playing with the kids.
Yeah, yeah.
And finally, my
was what
wife
you
said to
wanted
me, you have to find out. You have to go out there. Become a substitute teacher for at least a half a year.
Right.
Show them what you can do. And that's
Okay,
what
so where are
happened.
you living now?
I'm living in New Hampshire, Manchester, New
So
Hampshire.
you're in New Hampshire, and you.
After we got married, yeah.
Okay, so you ended up you were in Connecticut where you were looking for a job, and you went back to New Hampshire.
Well, I was looking for a job in New Hampshire and also in Connecticut.
Okay, so what brought you to Connecticut?
Well, after what?
Well, why
I-
were you looking for a job in Connecticut? Was it one of the places you were considering
Well,
living?
at
Is
that
it-
time, and even today, Connecticut
Yeah.
has an excellent reputation in education.
Okay.
The schools in Connecticut were known in New England as good schools.
So it was a calculated choice.
It's a calculated
It wasn't
choice.
just like you knew somebody here. Or
No,
something.
no,
Okay.
calculation. Well, my in-laws in Manchester because my wife is.
Oh, okay,
my
so
wife
that
is-
makes sense.
My
So that-
wife
yeah,
is
right,
from Manchester. Manchester. She was born
Okay.
in Hartford Hospital.
Right.
We met in college.
So there was an
so
attachment,
Yeah, an attachment. So it was all right for us to move here.
So somewhere in here you got married.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we got married after college, and I went to. I joined the reserve.
That's right,
became
you
a
were-
military policeman. I was in the Army Reserve
And that was right after college?
right after college. I was 1A.
Okay.
And I took the exam to maybe become an officer, But every time I did that, I had to spend so much time away from, quote, in other words, I couldn't get married for another year or 2 or 3.
Right.
The Navy said, well, as soon as you become an officer, you're going to spend 6 months, at sea, and all those things. So somebody said, have you thought about the reserve? I didn't know anything about the reserve. They explained to me, and I said, you mean I can spend, 6 months in the Army, and then I can come home, get married, get a job, and so on, and I spend, that sounds good to me.
Right.
So that's what I did. I went in the Army Reserve, and I went to military police school. And I came back, and then when my wife, when we got married, she still had one more semester because she's a teacher.
Okay.
She had one more semester of school to do, so she had to do student teaching. So she was,
So this was 63, 64.
This was 1962, which when I graduated.
Okay.
In December, I went to Fort Dix.
Okay.
Then in February, I went to Fort Gordon, Georgia, to learn to become a military policeman.
Okay.
I came out in June, and we got married that June of 63.
And you were in the reserves for?
I was in the reserve, 6 months active duty,
Yep.
and then after that, 6 years of
6 years.
so
you never got called up after that?
Well, twice we were put on 24 hours alert.
Okay.
There was in Vietnam.
For a possible.
Yeah, possible call twice.
It's got to be a little nerve-wracking when you're.
It was because everywhere you went, you had to let them know where you were so they can reach you. So because 24-hour alert, you get a call, you had to report within 24 hours.
Yeah.
And then when they did away with my unit, for some reason they did away with the unit, I joined the Coast Guard Reserve.
Okay.
And I joined the Coast Guard Reserve, and we were put one time on 2 hours alert. And
Really?
Yeah, and the Coast Guard. And the Coast Guard,
Well, and this is all during the Vietnam conflict.
All during the Vietnam War, yeah.
Okay. So you have you have you're living where at that point?
At that point, I was in New Hampshire.
So you're in New Hampshire, but when okay, so you haven't made it to
So
Connecticut.
my wife went back to school for 1 semester, and then I had to found work. I finally found a teaching job.
And that was where?
That was in New Hampshire, Manchester,
Okay.
New Hampshire.
Okay.
I taught there for 3 years.
All right.
And then I taught and coached. I was teaching a coach for 3 years at junior high.
What were you teaching?
Social studies, history,
Social studies,
American
okay.
history, and geography.
So somebody gave you a break.
Somebody did. Somebody did. The superintendent told me that he was taking he told me he was taking a chance.
Okay.
I substituted. I followed my wife's advice. I substituted for half a year.
Okay, so you
And so he could see that I could, I could do well. But he still told me, I'm going to hire full time, but I'm taking, you're the first of your kind to teach here.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Well.
So he reminded me, don't mess up, And then from there, I went to Milford High School to teach high school for 4 years. And I coached basketball there also. And,
Milford, New Hampshire.
Yeah, Milford, New Hampshire.
Okay.
And then from there, I went and taught junior college.
Okay.
For 2 years, and I coach soccer because I played soccer in college and all that.
So somewhere in here you had 2 children, Kathy and
Kathy and Christy, yeah.
Okay.
Kathy, she's a chiropractor in Montana.
Yep.
She graduated from UConn. Both of my girls graduated from UConn.
Okay.
And then from there, she went to chiropractic college.
What years did you have them?
Kathy was born in 1967.
Okay, so this is in New Hampshire.
In New Hampshire, and Christy was born in 1971 in New Hampshire.
Okay.
They were both born in New Hampshire. And Christy's a teacher in the high school. She's a music specialist now.
Okay.
At New Britain High School.
Oh, great. Yeah. Small, yeah.
She lives in Wethersfield.
So she's close by.
She's close by, yeah. That's great.
You have grandkids?
Four grandchildren. Christy has 2 boys here, Liam and Sean, 9 and 4.
Yep.
And then Kathy has 2 girls.
Okay.
Rebecca and Rachel, 9 and 4.
Super. Okay, so now you're in New Hampshire. You're teaching. Your wife's teaching.
Yeah.
And you have two small kids.
That's right.
Where do you go? How do you end up in Connecticut?
Well, it was a roundabout way because, like I said, after high school I taught junior college.
And where was that?
Then I had an opportunity to go. I kept going to school.
Okay.
In our profession and
yeah.
you have to keep up. You should learn. You should continue growing.
Okay.
If you don't grow, you go backward.
Right.
So during the school year, during the summer, I continued taking courses. And finally, I got a call from the University of Massachusetts. If I was interested, they heard about me as a teacher and working with students and so on, that they were interested in me going there to finish my master's and continue with my doctoral program.
Okay.
And that was a big decision because in those days, to be a doctoral candidate, you had to spend at least a year on campus.
Okay.
So I had to leave my family behind.
Right.
And my wife said, yes, go ahead and do it. So I took a leave of absence from my job.
Okay.
And they said yes. And then when I came back, when I was I finished my master's. I was halfway with my doctorate program. I had the opportunity to work in the State Department in New Hampshire.
Oh, wow.
And I worked there for 3 years.
Okay.
And I.
What does the State Department have in New Hampshire? Just
Well, the State Department of Education. The State Department of Education.
State Department of Education. I was thinking the State Department.
No, the State Department of Education. I didn't finish.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, the State Department of Education. Yeah.
Right.
And I worked there for 3 years.
Okay.
But then I found myself, and although I was working with teachers, it got me away from working with kids.
Yeah.
So I returned to the community college, the junior college.
What is it about working with kids that you enjoyed the most?
Working with kids, and I guess people who work with I'm going to speak about teachers, even administrators, because we're a little removed. But teachers, what you like is that you feel that you make a difference in this world. That you're able to reach, children. That you're able to coach. That you're able to be to guide.
Yeah.
A teacher said to me one time is, I wish all my students, were so smart that the only thing I had to do was come in. I said, if all the students that you have were so smart, then in that case, we're like a surgeon who says, I don't like blood.
Right.
You could have, and I always like when I was a salesman, as I mentioned before, Earl Nightingale, a great motivator in those days. I went to one of his presentations, and he said the sales begin when the customer says no.
Okay.
I also remember that. That was 1963 when that man said
so
that.
at some level it's a challenge, but at the other time it's a challenge. It's very rewarding when you're
exactly.
successful.
So to me, when the student says, I dare you to teach me, that's where I have to show.
That's where you get interest.
That's where you have to show that you're an educator, not just a teacher. A teacher can teach the subject.
Okay.
An educator tries to help the child to grow.
Right.
Teaching is part of it.
Yeah.
When I became an assistant principal, I got along with all my students and parents.
Okay.
They may not have agreed with sometimes the things I had to do to follow the law and the consequences. But I never allowed one of the students in the school that sometimes I had to suspend, not to leave the school without understanding the mistake that was made and how to correct it and how to avoid making the same mistakes again.
Yeah, that's key. Whether you're somebody's boss or whether you're raising a child,
exactly.
Anytime you're in a position of authority, it's crucial that there's some understanding of your reasoning.
Exactly.
And if there is, then they can grow from it.
Exactly, and that's why people were laughing when Mrs. Clinton wrote a book about it takes a village. It takes a village to raise a child.
Right.
Well, to teach the child. I can teach that child to pass an exam.
Exactly, right.
Let's say in social studies or anything, I can pass the exam, and I'm a great teacher because that child has passed the SATs and passed the CAP. And,
he knows his math
all that.
perfectly.
And I become a great teacher because no child left behind. My kid, has passed.
Right.
But the question is, did that child learn to think?
Right.
Did that child learn to make decisions at the right time when it's tough to make the right decision?
Well, it's funny you say that because I always say personally that the biggest flaw that I see in education or in the normal kind of experience most kids have is the lack of acquiring critical thinking. And that's huge. If you're not questioning the information and debating it in your own mind, you kind of set up a lot of really bad situations in life.
I want my children to be educated.
Right.
Okay. And the difference is this: if I'm going to teach you, is to pass the test.
Right.
To educate is to grow.
Well, it's kind of like that proverb or the saying, feed a man and he's full for a day, teach him to farm and he's full for a lifetime.
And education is no different.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah. It's your whole attitude.
Well, it sounds like you found your passion there.
I'm still.
It would have been a shame if you were designing bridges or selling insurance.
And I can tell you, and coaching is the same way. Coaching to me wasn't about winning and losing. Winning is good.
Yep.
Losing is not acceptable, but you have to understand how to win. and then also how to grow from losing.
Okay.
Because my father used to say to me, "You can do fall many times.
Right.
The failure is not the day you fell. The
Right.
failure is if you don't get up."
That's a tough lesson. That's something you have to repeat 100 times. to
Oh,
a
and
kid
my
before
father,
they get-
my father
Yeah.
was my most probably one of my best teachers because
Yeah.
he will use every occasion to teach me about life. And I used to quote my father often, and my students used to say, either because I taught everything from 7th grade through
Right.
graduate school.
Right.
And I would quote my father, and then they would say, "Oh, your father must have how many degrees do you have?"
Right.
I said, I never said that my father had degrees. I said my father was an educated man.
Right.
He said, "What's the difference?" He said he was learned, he read, he had common sense, and he was able to continue to grow as a person.
Okay.
He said, he didn't stop growing once he got his diploma.
Right.
My father never had a diploma. He had
Well,
the
they
diploma in life.
sacrificed and they were very persistent with you
Exactly,
guys. And obviously,
exactly,
it paid
yeah.
off. And they taught you to do the same.
Exactly.
So how do we end up in East Granby?
Well,
So you're teaching-
from
you're
there,
still in
I
New
got the
Hampshire?
opportunity to go to Ohio State. And
Okay.
work at Ohio State.
University?
The University
Okay.
of Ohio State University.
What years were you there?
I was there only for 1 year. I didn't like it. It was
Okay.
too big. It got me away from.
Yeah, it's a huge school.
It was huge.
Yeah, yeah.
Then I went to
Most state universities.
Yeah, I went to a small Catholic college.
Okay.
In Canton, Ohio, and I was
Yeah.
there as assistant dean of students and athletic director.
Okay.
And I also had a chance to work with international students
Okay.
to get through, especially the kids from Iran during the Shah, during that period of time.
Right.
That was very hard for them.
Yeah.
And so I stayed there, and it was a small college, 1,500 students,
Okay.
run by the Brothers of Christian Instruction. The president was my mentor in high school.
Oh, wow.
And he was the president, and he hired me. He said, "If you think that just because I was your mentor, you're going to have it easy, now I expect even more from you."
That's right.
But the French,
It's usually the case,
Yeah, exactly.
It starts out
and
nice.
then from there, I wanted to return back east. I wanted to return to Connecticut or New Hampshire to be back with the family, to be back with friends.
Okay.
I had a lot of friends there.
So your wife's family's still in the
They're
area?
still here. My parents in New York.
Okay.
My brother at that time was still in Massachusetts. My cousins are in New York City. So I wanted to return here. So I started to apply for jobs.
Where'd you get a job?
UConn. I was at the University of Connecticut.
Okay. And when you got the job at UConn, you moved to East Granby?
Well, at first it was Manchester.
You stayed with your wife?
With my in-laws, because we considered a house in Ohio for a year and a half.
Okay.
And by that time, I had the opportunity to come and coach at East Granby High School.
Okay.
And when we started to look for houses, I said,
What'd you coach?
I coach basketball.
Okay.
I coach basketball. And what happened was that I like the kids.
Right.
I like the boys. I like Charlie and Trevor Hoare and David and John and Hoare Jimmy. I remember the first name of the kid. Jimmy Clark, and I really enjoy all the kids.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed the teachers. I enjoyed and the people that I met here were very friendly. And when I got here before practice, I go early from practice from UConn. People say, "Hey, come on over. Let's have dinner together."
Okay. So you were still living in Manchester?
I was still living in Manchester.
And you were coaching in East Granby?
Coaching in East Granby and working at UConn, but it was the West
You
Hartford.
stayed pretty busy, didn't you?
I was in staff development.
Okay.
So I was part of the West Hartford branch, so I could and then I became a supervisor of staff development. But we started to look for houses.
You were at the West Hartford branch.
In the West Hartford
okay.
branch.
All right, that makes
so it made more sense.
Yeah.
So what happened is that when we were looking for houses, we stopped looking on the other side of the river and we concentrated here in East Granby because we felt this is like my whole town in Santo Domingo. The people are friendly. I like the
Similar
school.
size, yeah.
Yeah, I like the school. I like the kids. I wanted my daughters to be associated with those kids.
Okay, so you wanted, your kids were in what grade or?
My oldest daughter was a sophomore in high school already,
Okay.
and my youngest one was in the 5th grade.
Okay, so you get to East Granby and you're living here and you end up. What was your first impression of the town when you first came in?
Just what I wanted. It was friendly. It was a small town where people to say hello to each other. They knew each other.
Okay.
Where the concern, the well-being of the community, not just of a particular part of town.
Right.
It was important that the schools that you can talk, I could go to the school and we could talk to the teachers about how can we work together to help my children.
Okay, and then we're gonna bounce off a few questions quick because we're running out of time here. But I'm just gonna give you. I expected this, right? I should have had a clock in the wall. But anyway, that's fine. We had what's changed the most about East Granby since you moved here?
We're getting bigger from the sense. We knew that. My feeling was that closer to the airport, 91, the industrial area will grow, and of course we want to see that growth.
Okay.
I felt that Route 187 was going to be the partition.
Okay.
As I see Route 20 getting wider, which is good because the traffic.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was crazy.
And I see more things happening. I would hope that East Granby doesn't become, that suddenly every 2 or 3 miles you see a gas station,
right.
McDonald's, another restaurant, in other words, it's growing, and I hope that we keep aware of what made East Granby.
The term smart growth comes up a lot.
Smart growth, not just growth, because we need progress.
Right.
And the idea of people, progress and jobs is all one. Well, progress and jobs doesn't have to be.
You know what I always tell people? When was the last time the tax rate went down because there was development?
Exactly.
It's a management.
Exactly. So I'm not selfish. I'm here. I don't want anybody else. But I have always said was, I want to keep East Granby, what made East Granby.
Yep.
I want to see growth. But let's think before we start talking about growth. And like somebody said to me, where are you going? I don't know, but I'm going somewhere. Well, how do you know that you got there?
Think it through.
Well, let's think it through.
Yeah. Okay, so if there was anything you would change about the town, what would it be?
Anything that we would change?
If you got a wand, right, magic wand, what would Rafael?
I think that, because I'm concerned about education, I think that we have a wonderful school system. My daughters did very well.
Okay.
Parents, if they want to, can be involved in a positive way to help their children to be educated.
Yep.
But now, in the 28 years I've been here and going to the town meetings and the budget meetings and so on, I'm starting to see a division of, we don't want one more. My kids have graduated.
Right.
I don't want to spend any more tax money for education.
Right.
When my kids were going to school here, I wanted the best education for my children.
Right.
So somebody, had to help me. Now that my kids graduated, I like to help the other kids. Not because only I'm in education. I don't believe in education. I don't. But I have grandchildren, 2 different here in Connecticut. I have grandchildren in Montana. I want the community to help my grandchildren to grow. So as people were helping my children to grow, I want to be able to continue to see other children.
So you'd like
grow.
to see us continue to enhance or maintain the quality of education? We
chose, and I was here at that time. We chose to keep. We didn't join Winston Locks. We didn't join Suffield. That would have brought a lot of other good points by making a bigger school and so on.
Yeah.
But we chose to have control. We chose to keep our school small.
Right.
We chose to have a private school in a public setting.
Right.
My feeling was when people said, "Are your kids going to public school?" I said, "Yes." They're a private school in a public school setting, small classroom.
Okay.
People know each other.
So
the teachers will call me if they.
We made the decision. Let's stick with it.
That's right. We made the decision. In that case, after my kids graduate, I'm not going to say the heck with it. I got mine. And I'm concerned that I'm beginning to see a certain division.
Yeah.
That hey, I'm retired.
I think the economy's pretty rough right now. I think that'll smooth out when things get better.
The economy's rough. And I can understand that. What you say, I can understand that. And I understand people like myself who are retired.
Yeah.
We don't have the money that we had when we were working. My wife is retired also.
Right.
So I understand that very well. But what I'm saying is not to say no just because no.
Right.
My idea is let's talk about it. Let's see where we can get the most bang for our money.
I agree. Yeah.
Let's make sure that we're investing wisely.
I've got a 7-year-old. I agree with you 100%.
That's what I'm talking about.
Even if I didn't, though, I understand the value of all education to the community as a whole. But if you had one piece of advice for young people growing up today, what would that be?
Well, asking me,
This is a challenge for you.
what piece of advice, would be. That's something that my father said to me, and I told my daughters, and that would be, no matter what you do your best.
Okay.
Do your best. My father never asked me about how come you got a B, or how come you got a C, or how come you got an A, because you can get an A and didn't learn much, just because the course was easy, or the teacher was easy, or you knew how to get around,
Right.
The idea was, if you do your best, you will grow. If you do your best, you will succeed. If you do your best, you're not afraid to stand up if you fall. If you do your best, people will recognize that you're someone they can take a chance on because you wouldn't let them down.
Absolutely.
So when my daughters were going to school and I said, you got a C. I wasn't asking them how come you got a C,
right.
But they felt, well, the 30% of the kids got a C. I said, no. 30% of the kids are not my children.
Right.
I'm asking you, did you do your best?
Okay.
That's what I wanted to know. And I told my father once, I said, I don't think I did my best. Right. And he said, well, only you can decide what is your best.
I think you probably do your best most of the time, Rafael. So you get to, I'm sure he gave you
yeah, so I will tell the young people that, it will be, and
that's great advice.
If you're doing your best, you want to grow, which of course you're going to grow without good education and so on.
I want to thank you for coming on here tonight. It's been fascinating, and once again, you never know where you're going to end up with these interviews, but it's been a great one, and I appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you for the invitation.
All right. Thank you for joining us tonight on Reflections on East Granby. Once again, you can view this online at www.gctv16.org and go to Reflections, the prompt for Reflections. Thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon. Thank you.